What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Pulse Metrics channel. Today we have another NFL rankings video. Today we are going to be ranking running backs. If you guys didn't see my other video where I ranked wide receivers first, you can go check that out first. If you don't want to see this, you can go see the wide receivers, all that stuff. But obviously, quick disclaimer before we get started, if you disagree, please leave a comment below, and I might just end up responding. And without further ado, let's just get right into the video. Alright, without further ado, getting it kicked off at number 10, we have Bijan Robinson for the Atlanta Falcons. I feel like a lot of people want to criminally underrate this guy every year. I mean, like, last year he was put in a terrible situation with the coaching and all that stuff. Like, it was just awful. Out of 214 attempts, 976 yards, 4.6 yards per carry, 75 yards was the longest run, 4 touchdowns, 57.4 yards per game, and 4 fumbles. Again, like Arthur Smith, he was awful last year. He didn't use Bijan right at all. He was using Bijan to set up plays for, like, third-string tight ends. Like, I don't know, Jonnu Smith, or whoever their third-string tight end was. But now that they have a new coach and they're starting fresh with a new quarterback, there's no doubt in my mind that Bijan Robinson will be much better this year under new leadership. Alright, moving on. At number 9, we have DeAndre Swift, now from the Chicago Bears. Chicago, please. From a guy who supported him through the Eagles, please use this guy right, because when you do, he is absolutely immaculate. Again, like Bijan, like, the coaching staff was so horrible. Like, nobody used this guy right. He only ran the ball 229 times, but out of those 229 times, 1,049 yards, 4.6 yards per game. 43 yards was his longest run, only 5 touchdowns, mainly because of the brotherly shove or tush push or whatever you want to call it. 65.6 yards per game and 2 fumbles. Again, put in an awful situation last year. Every time we were at the goal line, like, you know, he was like, we just went with a tush push the whole time. But now that they have a quarterback, now that he has a quarterback that will just throw or at least do what he's supposed to do, this guy will get more touchdowns when they're at the goal line. But moving on to number 8, we have Najee Harris from the Pittsburgh Steelers. This guy was crazy last year, you know, and they're just adding to their offensive line to get more protection for this guy. This guy will be absolutely immaculate next year now that he has, like, again, like, a running duo. Najee Harris and Justin Fields, not the best one, or Russell Wilson. I mean, think about it. If Russell Wilson is their quarterback, then Russell Wilson will pass, do what he needs to do, and Najee Harris will get more touchdowns and more yards. However, if Justin Fields is their quarterback, then he'll want to run the ball a lot and not give it to Najee Harris as many times as he should. So you got to think about those two aspects. But, however, running the ball 255 times last year, 1,035 yards, 4.1 yards per carry, 25 yards was his longest run. That's not the best. However, 8 touchdowns, 60.9 yards per game, and only 2 fumbles. Again, Steelers drafted a lot of O-linemen this draft. It's really going to help them. And, you know, because of that, this guy could be a lot better than when he was last year. Alright, next up at number 7, we have Saquan Barkley from the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, you got to consider the facts here. He put up over 1,000 yards behind an absolute garbage O-line. So, just imagine what Saquon could do against like, behind the single best O-line in the entire league. I know it's going to be a little bit shabbier this year since they don't have Kelsey with the lead block, but, you know, you still got Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Tyler Steen's going to step up, Landon Dickerson, the best left guard in the entire league, and now Cam Jurgens as their lead block. I mean, even still behind a trash O-line, 247 attempts, 962 yards, 3.9 yards per carry, 36 yards was the longest run, 6 touchdowns, 68.7 yards per game, and 2 fumbles. Again, like, another guy that was put in a really bad situation. Like, I can't believe that they chose to pay Daniel Jones over this guy because when Saquon Barkley is healthy, like that's another thing. When he's healthy, he is a absolute dog, and hopefully he can stay healthy in order to have an immaculate season this year. All right, next up, at number 6, we have Travis Etienne from the Jacksonville Jaguars. People are going to get very mad at this one. I mean, people are going to say, ooh, why isn't he higher? Why isn't he higher? Like, I get it. He is a good running back. He had 11 touchdowns. But if you really look at his stats for, like, the end of the season, they were really not that good. However, 267 attempts, 1,008 yards, barely snuck past 1,000 yards, 3.8 yards per carry, 62 yards was his longest run, 11 touchdowns, 59.3 yards per game, and it certainly helps that he did not fumble. Again, like last year, they were just really trying to force the ball to Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk. Like, they were really trying to force throwing the ball that they forgot about the running game. But when they did run the ball with Travis Etienne, he put up 11 touchdowns. He was insane last year. All right, moving on, we have at number 5, Nick Chubb. Now, I understand that he did not play last year. I get it. But when he did play, he put up absolutely insane numbers. I mean, I'm kind of putting a Justin Jefferson situation here. Like, he didn't play enough games to qualify for stats. So, but not only is this about stats, it's how I think he will do going into next year. Again, like, they didn't get a lot of offensive tackles or offensive guards or centers or offensive linemen. They didn't get enough of that in the draft. So you really have to question, is this guy going to be better or is he going to be worse? He was higher going into the 2023 season, but at number 5, I think he's going to be a little bit worse because since like he's been dealing with injuries and the offensive line is just like Joel Bitonio, however you pronounce his name, he's getting older and older and older as the years go by. So, like, you really have to wonder, is that O-line going to be as strong with or without him this year? All right, at number 4, people are also going to get mad at this one, but we have Rahim Moore from the Miami Dolphins. This guy put up, like, one of the most insane seasons I've ever seen. He had 18 touchdowns last year, 209 attempts. Again, like, they didn't run the ball that much. They were throwing it a lot to Tyreek. But 209 attempts, 1,012 yards, still put up over 1,000 yards, 4.8 yards per carry, 49 yards was his longest, 18 touchdowns, obviously, 67.5 yards per game, and 2 fumbles. Like, this is what this guy does if he does stay healthy. I mean, their offensive line's okay, I guess, but he still puts up 18 touchdowns. Like, I've never seen, besides, like, who was it last year? Jamal Williams, 17 touchdowns. I mean, like, these guys who you do not expect to do well, do well. And Rahim Moore, like, he hasn't had an immaculate season like this, I don't think, ever. But, I mean, any given Sunday, Rahim Moore was great last season, and if they just run the ball a little bit more, then who knows what this guy can do. Alright, next up, we have Kiron Williams from the Los Angeles Rams. Another guy who you expected to do nothing last year, and going into the season, he was the backup. But if you look at these stats, 228 attempts, 1,144 yards, 5 yards per carry, 56 yards was his longest run, 12 touchdowns, 95.3 yards per game, 2 fumbles. I know he missed a couple of games, but like his stats, the amount of games, they qualify to have stats. Kiron Williams, he's their only guy, so he's going to get all of the touches. And I really think that the Rams do a good job they have like the one of the best wide receiver duos with Puka and Cooper Kupp. But I really like what a good of a job that they do splitting the attention between Kiron Williams and Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Alright, the top 2, these 2 are absolute dogs. But at number 2, we have Derrick Henry. It's really going to only help him a lot more since he joined a team that's big on the run. 280 attempts last year, 1,167 yards, 4.2 yards per carry. 69 yards was his longest run, 12 touchdowns, 68.6 yards per game, and 0 fumble. Again, like, this guy will just stiff arm you, like, out of nowhere. He'll just come in, stiff arm you, and he's probably part of the best quarterback running back duo. Again, like, a team that's just, like, very big on the run game. Like, you saw what Gus Edwards did last year, so if I'm predicting right, this guy could legitimately put up like 20 touchdowns next year. I'm not even kidding. Francisco 49ers, the offensive player of the year. This guy had one of the most insane seasons I have ever seen from a running back. 272 attempts, 1,459 yards, 5.4 yards per carry. 72 yards was his longest run. 14 touchdowns, 91.2 yards per game, 2 fumbles. Oh, did I mention 7 receiving touchdowns? That's 21 total touchdowns from a running back on the season. Again, it's behind, like, probably a great offensive line. Trent Williams, the best left tackle in the entire league, best offensive lineman in the entire league. Christian McCaffrey, he can run. He can damn well throw. He can catch. He can do, like, just about anything. And I'm so glad he won the Offensive Player of the Year. And he's no doubt that he's the #1 running back going into the 2024 season. Alright guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure to leave a like on this video and make sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 200. We're already 30% of the way there. So thank you for that. But I will see y'all next time, the next time I upload. Peace out.